Got a little mailbag going.
Yeah, in this episode, and hopefully the next episode, we're going to dive into the understanding or the argument of, do we need bunker gear to perform hazardous materials operations?
Oh, that can get thick. So stick around and listen. Hey, you know what the worst part about getting at a hazmat scene? Getting to a hazmat scene?
Knowing you're going to have to listen to a chief that has no idea what they're talking about, but smile and nod as if it's a good idea and you're taking it into consideration anyway.
Yes, that, and also uncertainty, right? You have no idea what's in the air.
Aha, yes. The old, it's just a chemical assumption doesn't really cut it anymore. We need answers and we need them fast.
That's where the Explorer comes in. It's real-time chemical ID and quantification right in the field.
Probably just a bad chemical. No longer any good. You need to have something that tells you exactly what's there and exactly how much.
So you can set up your safety zones like a pro, not like us.
Giving you defensive, qualitative data in seconds, which is honestly going to make your decision-making a hell of a lot easier.
Which means you don't have to wait around anymore for an answer. You get solid, life-saving intel, getting you back to the firehouse quicker.
Look up more about the Explorer and stop guessing. Check out 908devices.com.
You know, on a hazmat call, the question is never if radiation matters, it's when you're going to find it.
Yeah, to be really honest with you, Bobby, most of the time it comes and finds you, which is why on unknowns, radiation is one of the first things that we want to check for.
Absolutely, because it's one of those things you don't see it, you don't smell it, if you miss it, you're in it.
Exactly. This is why teams across the world are running Teledyne's FLIR's defense identifinders.
Yep, and this isn't a one-size-fits-all tool. They got handheld rids, they got wearable personal devices, and they even got backpacks.
So whether you're one guy tasked to go take a single measurement or you're trying to figure out the big picture of an incident that's just happened, there's always going to be something that fits the job.
Yep. So these aren't theoretical tools. These are things that get used every day by teams that actually rely on information. So make those decisions.
Well, go search the FLIR Identifinder. That's FLIR, F-L-I-R, Identifinder.
And remember, today's episode is brought to you by Rigaku Analytical Devices, who just launched their 4th generation handheld Raman meter, the Icon X.
So for fast, safe, and accurate chemical analyzation, go visit rigakuanalytics.com. There's like a Jake sandwich going on here.
It's kind of fun. A little manwich.
I like that. We can do this. Yeah. This is fun.
I feel like Angel and the Devil on my shoulders here. I don't know who's who.
Which one's which?
Yeah, it's kind of fun.
Oh, we haven't done a mailbag. I want to say in quite a while, actually.
It's been a minute, yeah.
Yeah. And this is kind of a lie of a mailbag, because most of our mailbags kind of come in from emails and things that happen. You've heard us talk and suggest coming to the happy hour at the end of every month, and this was a conversation that was spawned from last month's happy hour, and it was a really interesting question. And I really hope the guy that came and gave the question, he said he had a whole bunch more questions of things right along this lines, and I really can't wait. I don't want to give away any names because we promise the things that happen at the happy hour, they stay in the happy hour, except these kinds of questions come out and go through. And the basic concept was they are running they're trying to figure out a cheaper alternative to bunker gear. And he came up with this question, and to his credit, he came up with facts to back it up, right? He said, listen, a racing team fire suit. So they're trying to figure out an alternative to bunker gear.
And so like Formula One or NASCAR or something like that.
Yeah. Something
Do I get to have all the cool patches on it?
Oh, of course. How do you not have patches on the right?
I'm in then.
And then you monetize the drive to the scene.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah.
So the racing team suit, and these are going to be technicalities, so I want to make sure I get them right. I'm going to read right from the show here. An FSI 3.2A/10 has a TPP 38 of 19 seconds to second degree burn to whoever's using it. I guess the race car driver, right? Firefighter bunking gear has a TPP 35, which is 17.5 seconds to a second degree burn. So the question is can I use racing team fire suits as firefighting gear? What would be the technical reason why somebody wouldn't want to do this?
Sounds like either way, you're going to get second degry burns.
Yeah, exactly. Can I choose to not have second degree burns, please?
No, you must get burns.
I mean, I think, and this is from the hip. I'll say this. From the hip, I would say your biggest problem is probably going to be regulatory, right? It's probably that this is technically not rated like in a compliance standpoint to like OSHA regulation to be used in that method. So that would be your first hurdle. And right. I could be wrong about that, but that would be my guess.
That is the first place that I went as well. And there is no regulatory agency that says you have to wear bunker gear during hazmat operations.
You know, I like the gas company. Those guys don't have bunker gear. No, and they're in a hole with like over the UEL, and all they wear is dungarees and FR rated shirts. And you know what? Now that you say that, I'm thinking about this now a little bit more.
And that's what. Jake, that is exactly the first place that I went to during the happy hour. I was like, no, we're it's got to be an OSHA thing. So I started looking it up. There's nothing. And the reason that there's nothing is because, like, let's say we're on top of a tractor trailer and we're tapping for gasoline. We're not fighting a fire. Mm-hmm. So we don't land in this firefighting operation. And if you think about a lot of the things that we do, we're not actually fighting the fire. So we're performing some kind of...
The intent is not to start the fire.
Right, the intent is not to start the fire.
Hopefully.
But even if it lights up, that entry team is not firefighting.
Correct.
So, there was this kind of like, and all this kind of thought process happened, of course, afterwards. Like I'm laying in bed at 3:00 in the morning and I wake up and I go, well, wait a second, we're not fighting fire. So we technically do not land within this. So then started kind of contemplating the differences between these suits, right? So these tests that are being done, and then it kind of becomes a what is your function? And how does that function dictate the actual PPE that you want to use? Because I originally was like, no, man, I wouldn't do that. I would wear bunker gear. But my question to, like, when I sat and I actually like questioned myself on that, I was like, wait a second, did I just say that because that's all I actually know? Did I just pull it? Well, that's the way we've always done it. Bullshit.
Can I play devil's advocate to this?
Go.
Yeah,
I love a good devil's advocate. Let's go. So my next layer of concern would be deviating from consensus standard. And so say my agency says we're going to wear race suits instead of turnout gear, and XYZ guy gets burned or killed. That, like, the legal system is going to come after me for deviating from consensus standard. Why are you the only agency in the world that uses race suits and not turnout gear? Sued, now you all be $1 billion or whatever.
But when you go towards consensus, there still has to be functionality behind that consensus. Because if you turn around and you turn around and you go, well, we did it because everybody's always doing it, right? That's not a valid argument, because that why everybody's always doing it has to have substantial reason behind it. And if, well, they're doing it because that's the only FR, I'll put bunker gear in that FR category, that's the FR gear that everybody used, then that's not an actual basis for the consensus.
I would bet that the reason why, again, I never even thought about this until just now, but like the reason why we wear fire gear is because typically hazmat is a fire problem, like a fire department problem, and our standard uniform is fire gear. So like they're like, well, it's good enough over there, it's good enough over here, and therefore just double duty use that thing. But if you're I'm going back to the gas company. That guy does not own a set of fire gear. He has dungarees and he has work boots and he has an FR shirt. He doesn't even wear a hood. He doesn't wear SCBA. He doesn't wear anything like that. And he's still regulatory okay. I don't know. Again, because I'm taking this from the hip. I really didn't want to read very much around it. But like he has his clothing, his shirt is an eighth of an inch, right? Or for you Canadians, 2 millimeters, right? So
that's average,
right? But my fire gear, let's just say, is I don't know, 3/4 of an inch thick. Those I've never worn a racing suit, but I'm going to imagine those things are pretty thin. And part of the good part is the thickness, that the offset, like thinness is going to count.
Somebody's at the door.
Leave it. That's perfect. I love it.
I love the dog.
I'll cut it out later.
No, leave it in. So I will attest to that. Like in industry, right? When I worked for the cleanup contractor, we dealt with large spills. I mean, tens of thousands of gallons of fuel, and nobody had turnout gears. None.
Because
everyone wore FR.
You weren't fighting fires.
Correct.
And I think in the research that I did for like that whole regulatory compliance argument, which again, like I said, was the exact same thing that I said when it first came out. I was like, oh, well, but you're not fighting fire, so you don't land within that regulatory and compliance, or what's the C word that we just use? Consensus for firefighting operations. So could somebody wear something, and it may not be, later on we can talk about the other types of gear that are out there, but let's stick specific to the question. It then becomes, why wouldn't you want to wear a racing suit versus bunker gear? Because technically the racing suit gives you 19 seconds to a second degree burn. Bunker gear gives you 17 seconds to a second degree burn. So just looking at those numbers right there, racing gear is cheaper and better protection.
Is it cheaper? That was one question I was going to say.
Yes. Yeah. It's according to the gentleman who was on, and I didn't do research on pricing. He said your average racing suit is between $700 and $900. Your average turnout gear is $1,600 to $3,000. Wow. If not at on the low end.
Okay, let's go next layer deep then. Is there any sort of vapor barrier? What are we worried about with toxicity, other types of exposures?
Yes. Okay, so it's in the next kind of layer of all this stuff, and you guys are free to change your mind as these different layers come out.
I will.
Right? Is that the TPT, the TPP is basically a transfer resistance number, kind of like a factor that's given in on how easily heat moves from one place to another, and it combines conductive heat and it combines radiant heat and the exposure to an exposure, and then there's a predicted burn at the end, right? It doesn't fully take into account steam penetration, right? Which in firefighting gear is huge, right? If you're fighting fires, you're generally doing it with something that's going to produce steam. The hot water that we're associated with, like in a structure fire, it doesn't take into concern long duration thermal loads, where, I could be in this structure for a half an hour, 40 minutes under heavy heat conditions. That TPP doesn't necessarily cover that. So as we start to peel apart the regulatory means by which something is tested, we start to understand the flaws that are associated with these different tests. There's also no compression factor in the insulation, like when we're crawling and kneeling. So like Bob said before, like, hey, listen, there's an actual physical difference that heat has to travel. And in bunker gear, it's pretty significant. In racing gear, it almost doesn't exist at all and becomes even less if you're going to be kneeling and running around on it. And it doesn't account for hot surfaces, right? So if we look at like conduction through something, we often think about conduction through radiant heat and air. Well, air has a certain heat factor to it, a certain capacity to hold and transfer heat. If I suddenly am now on a tile floor, well, that's going to have a completely different heat transfer into my knees than, say, air. Or, I get that hot water on me. The seams are not well designed to keep out water in a race suit like they are in firefighting gear, because who the fuck's getting wet during a race? So we start to look at these things and we start to realize that there are little differences that could make a difference. But again, I go back to that firefighting operation where if I'm on top of a vehicle, I'm not fighting a fire.
This is all really interesting, but I do have one thing to bring up before we say, oh,
where did Jake go? Anyway. But, hey, guys, battery fires are starting to change how we think about suppression.
Because for years it was water, 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 cool it, chase it, hope it stays out.
But not anymore with these lithium-ion battery jobs that are all over the place. We're seeing a shift in our priorities. It's no longer about just putting out the fire. It's about controlling it. It's about keeping it from propagating. It's about stopping the reignition cycle.
Which is where some of these newer agents actually are making some sense.
Like TRF Plus from Fire Suppression Solutions. They're not about, hey, this works all the time. They're about giving you a different option that does actually work, and then you take that option and apply it when your regular playbook doesn't match the scenario that's in front of you.
Yupper, you got something that will be applied early, can help limit spread, gives another option besides just flooding the thing with water.
And it comes in a variety of different options, which is great because everybody operates a little bit differently, right? You need a small portable option, they got you covered. You need a bulk kit for big operations, they've got you covered.
And this is not just saying this is the answer. This is us saying that the problem has changed, and this is one of the tools that might make sense for your playbook.
So go to Fire Suppression Solutions and check out the TRF and do some research for yourself.
You know what I love about the city?
Pastrami sandwiches.
No.
Yes, the big, giant Jewish deli pastrami sandwiches.
Ugh. It's the e-scooter gangs.
Oh, yeah. Because nothing says hazmat like a moped about to go nuclear.
That's where Obexi and FR saves the day.
It's lightweight, mobile-friendly, and designed for first responders because the last thing we need is extra weight when things are heating up.
And it's third-party tested to lower toxic gases below the IDLH levels.
Which is going to give you a little bit more safety wiggle room when you're putting out that scooter fire.
Exactly, and it comes by the pallet or the certified poly drum.
Which is perfect if you're looking at a giant scene and going, holy crap, we're going to need a lot of this.
So protect your team and your lungs. Go to hazmatguys.com. Well, I'm sorry, the hazmatguys.dgeo.com. That's the hazmatguys.dgeo.com.
Okay, so I have a new thing to pose, which is in all reality, we're not making PPE for being in a hot fire environment. We are making a PPE decision for what if something goes wrong and we find ourselves in a flammable environment that's gone wrong, right?
Okay.
So it's not, right? That is actually what we're protecting ourselves with flammability PPE, right? It's not for what is happening, but what could potentially happen. So I think that the conversation needs to be about what does that environment actually look like? What, like, if it goes wrong and we need PPE, when flammable gases ignite, when flammable liquids ignite, what is happening and what do we actually need to be protected from?
Okay, in that case, then, people are going to default to fire gear because they're comfortable with it. But you can make the argument of if racing gear is not good enough for that scenario that you're saying, and fire gear is better, then you could make the counter argument saying, well, then, entry suits would be the optimal thing because it potentially could need and you're like, wait a second, now that's crazy.
Even more
Why
expensive.
is it crazy? Right.
But it wouldn't fit into the argument because it's more expensive. But actually, the way Jake posed the argument or the way of thinking about it just now lends to using race suits over bunker gear.
I think so.
Right?
Because what is that environment that they're building those race suits for? They're building for flammable liquid fire, That
Right.
is literally what they're building it for.
So what is the right? Because you've got a racer, right? Jake, what happens when a car catches on fire? What is that suit designed to do, and under what conditions?
Rapid fire growth and exit.
And get out, right? If I'm working in a flammable environment and something happens as a hazmat technician, isn't that exactly what I'm looking to do?
It is exactly. You found myself. I think I've turncoated here. I know. I've turncoated.
Welcome to me the past week going back and forth on this.
Well, then in that case, is it then just? I mean, the argument. I hear it. It's acceptable. Is it acceptable to say I'm going to wear a jumpsuit, an FR jumpsuit, and go down even lower? Because like if the guy that's in the hole, the gas company guy, he's sweating through his shirt, right? The race car driver, he's sweating through the shirt, the suit. The fire guy is protected by that barrier, right? Because we're not sweating out and the steam's not coming in. So it's you give up. You're kind of like a sausage, and at the same time, that's kind of what you bought. But at the same time, it's like, okay, if the fire suit's good enough, and that's $900, and me getting you a set of Carhartt jeans and a Carhartt shirt that's FR rated might be $200. Is that too low?
I don't know the drop off in terms of protection between those two things. I would have to know that, right? But I do think that anytime we try to make an argument that's fueled by finance, we lend ourselves for litigation. Right?
But when a department is actually making right and here's the problem. I agree with you 1,000%. Right? Like, oh, what are we choosing finance over safety for? But I think the question becomes, where is that line? Where's that line? Like if I'm going to spend $5,000 on bunker gear, and I'm making up numbers for the point of the argument, and it gives me a protection factor of 100, and in reality, all I need is a protection factor of 20. Then why can't I find a substitute that gives me the protection factor that I need for the cost that I have?
Okay, I just looked this up real quick.
Okay.
The gas repairman is classified NFPA 2112, right? And they are supposed to be against a 3-second.
So I like 19 seconds a lot more than 3.
Yeah, me too.
I'll give it to you.
I mean, it makes sense. The race car suit makes more sense, and the missions seem to be really similar to what you would do as a hazmat technician.
So then what? Now let's talk about ensemble then. What boots do I wear with that? What gloves do I wear with that? What helmet do I wear with that?
Simply the Hakes ones.
Of course, yeah. There you go. The Rescue Extreme. I support that.
I guess you got to get yourself a set of driving gloves. I don't know. I don't know what else goes in with, a driver suit. But I would venture to say you're right. Right, there is often when we talk about protection, it's not just a single thing. It's a whole combination of the clothing that helps keep us protected.
This is one of those things that oftentimes in the fire service, there's a logical argument that everyone can sit around a table and agree upon. Right. And then if you actually try to put it in practice, the red tape will just destroy you. And that's what I would be concerned about. Right? And
if the red tape didn't exist, right? If the red tape didn't exist, because from the conversations that I had with this gentleman, it seemed like the red tape was pushing for the race suits. I know it sounds crazy, and he was like, I think he was trying to legitimately just learn. Like he wasn't one side or the other. But it's the department itself that was strapped for funding is looking at these suits going, I put somebody on a tanker and they get covered in fuel, and now I throw out their bunker gear. And I know you can clean bunker gear. Why they weren't laundering, I don't know. I guess maybe it's so contaminated that they couldn't keep it. If I'm going to do a disposable option, why not the race suit?
Because this was a battery thing too, because and we're still getting questioned about this. Is CO2 extraction, all this stuff, and I'm like, listen, we don't know, but the thing is do you need to wear bunker gear for battery emergencies? And it's like, no, you really don't. I get, like, but the contamination, the gear can be cleaned. To what level? I don't know, but like cheaper gear for the right mission, or I don't know. What would I say about that? The right mission for the right job? Does that also mean that we're going to have 3 or 4 sets of gear? Because now that might be, whereas now I need fire gear. Now I need a race suit. Now I need Carhartt. Now it's like, holy shit, that was a lot more expensive than just getting fire gear.
Do you think
it's
that
funny?
Go ahead. Sorry.
I was going to say it's funny because the next episode is going to literally talk about the differences between fire gear, other types of fire retardant apparatus, ensembles, and talking about when we would want to use each one of them.
Yeah, that's the question: is are these things now stored on the side of a rig like your A and B suits, where they're generically sized and you just pick it off as you need a certain mission, or are these like you are assigned turnout gear, you're on the hazmat rig, and now you're also assigned a race suit because that is the one that is fit for you? I don't know.
I would love a tight-fitting race suit.
I mean,
could you imagine?
Just a jumpsuit, just like
a bunch of fat firemen walking around looking like
sausages,
stuffed
into a
tight in all the wrong places. Yeah.
Got an extender on this one.
Yeah, guys are stuffing with cucumbers just to
Oh,
look
for
bigger.
sure. Yeah, sausage casing. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.